Hello, hello, hello. We're back with a match preview. As always, Ron from City Soccer Talk is here. Say hello, Ron.
Hey everybody.
And as you guys know from last season, he did the NYCFC last game with us. The first game I did wasn't doing match previews yet. Andres from NYCFC Podcast. Andres?
Good to be back on.
Yeah, we love having you. I really want to get up there and actually meet you and go to a game. But with that said, we'll jump right in. I saw a little bit of NYCFC and Toronto last week, and they played the three in the back in that fun formation. So, do you think was that your formation week one, and do you think we will see that same formation this week?
That was the first time we saw that formation, and when we got the alert on our phones, everyone was going, "What the F? 3 defenders," and we were going crazy. Basically, it played out as a 3-2-2-3, where Bravo and Pirlo were basically defensive midfielders the entire game, or at least up into the middle of the second half, and it really worked out well for us. Mainly because Toronto plays with just Jovinko up front, so we typically had one defender there marking. It was either Hernandez or our newcomer, Matarita, who to me is going to be a great player moving forward, one-on-one marking him. So it worked out well for the time being. But no, that was our first time using that formation.
I mean, it worked out well until the second half. So what happened in the second half?
What happened in the second half was Vieira, our first-year head coach, I guess playing for a draw. He made 2 substitutions defensively, and then he switched to basically a 5-defender front, and that's where we started to get a lot of holes. Our offense was nowhere near where it was the first half. We actually could have ended the half 4-1. Kyrie Shelton missed an easy goal opportunity in the second minute, and I think it was Mix who almost let the other team score an auto goal, or I should say it was because of Mix that Toronto almost scored an auto goal, but we just lacked the pace in the second half, and I think Vieira saw that, and then that's when Toronto just came rushing back on.
All right, and then how do you think that? Well, first of all, what formation do you think that we're going to see this week, and who's your starting 11 after you tell us the formation?
Sure. I would say our formation is going to be what we saw against Toronto FC. I really like having those 3 defenders in the back, and it may work out well if Orlando City keeps Kyle Lauren up front by himself. If they have 3 forwards up top, it's not going to work out well, and I don't have any answers. But I want to see us use the same formation, the 3-2-2-3, because we also were able to keep a high line and attack, and that's something that we weren't not usual to do.
And so just real quick, what's your 11 in that formation?
My 11 would be the same exact same formation and starters. It would be Saunders in goal, Brillant, Hernandez, Matarita as our 3 defenders, Mix on the right wing, Bravo, Pirlo, center midfielders playing basically defenders, McNamara on the left. The one change that I would make up front would be Shelton for our new player, who is Steven Mendoza, and keep him with Villa and Tony Taylor up top in the 3 there.
Okay. And then, Ron, what do you think our 11 will be? And what formation do you think we'll be in?
Honestly, this week, I mean, we've started the past 2 games with the 4-3-2-1. It's had some mixed results. Heath switched to the 4-2-3-1 in the second half of last week's game. But if you look at, I think the best way to figure out a formation is you figure out your starting 11, or who Heath even has options for this week. We've been dealing with injuries and suspensions already. So if you look at the 11 and who's available, I think the obvious switch from last week's lineup is you have Darwin Seren, who's available again, and you have a guy like Servando Carrasco, who I don't think any of us penciled him in to be a long-term starter. So I think if you went back to a 4-2-3-1, then you could pair up Higuita and Seren as defensive mids. They were so successful together last year. They played so well, and Higuita was a rising star, and Seren won the MLS Latino of the Year. So I think that might be something to try, just to see if you have that same magic from last year. And then if you did that, you could put Nocerino in the center attacking mid position. You could have Molino out right, Vinter out left, or switch them. Really, they could play inverted. Or you could put Molino in the middle and move Nocerino out left if you wanted to. And then obviously Laren will be up top by himself. They've kind of gone to maybe like a false 9 or something with Kevin Molino, so that might interest you, Andres. But this team, clearly, it works best with Laren as the lone target man. As long as they can get, have some width. And a lot of times Orlando City just plays way too narrow, and they play right into the hands of the other team. So hopefully that could be an option. If they go the 4-3-2-1, I don't think it changes much. You have the same three midfielders. Notarino might play a little bit deeper, but I think those are the players that you'll see with Shea and Hines and Redding and Ramos in the back and Bendik in goal.
All right, and then this question will go to both of you, and I'll let Andres go first. So where do you think that if those, we'll just under the assumption those are the formations, how do you think they stack up?
Well, if they're going to keep Lauren up front, he's going to still have his opportunities. Our defense is much more solid than it was last year. I don't expect a high-scoring game, but if they do keep Lauren up front and they continue to block him, or I should say we continue to defend him, I highly suggest to our coach that Matarita marks Lauren. He's got speed. He's got the physical fitness to keep up with Lauren. We just need to cover him up. If your coach decides to finally switch the lineup, say in the middle of the second half, that's where we have a hard time adapting, and that's where we can fall a big risk because we don't have players that come off the bench to support us that way.
All right, Ron?
Well, I like how Andre says they have a much better defense last year, but what have you given up? 5 goals in 2 games. But hey, you got more points than we do, so more power to you. Hey, sometimes you just got to outscore in these high-scoring games. Anyways, this is a hard game to predict. NYCFC, we only took 1 point off them last year. I don't know that we particularly match up well against them. I think that stadium is obviously. I'm not one of these people that just wants to sit here and make fun of the stadium all the time, but it definitely creates a different style of soccer, and especially you're used to on the big Citrus Bowl turf. So how that plays out, I think it's going to be played at a frenetic pace. I think both teams will have lots of chances. I think we will see lots of goals in this game. I think NYCFC's defense, while I've heard it's improved, we'll see if that continues. But Orlando City's defense is not much better, if at all. Our defense, we've been able to control the ball and limit the amount of shots and opportunities against us. But when other teams do that, we're very vulnerable, and very susceptible to giving up multiple goals and in quick. We have inexperienced 19-year-old Tommy Redding back there. I heard David Mateos might be able to come back this week, but if you have Redding and Hines back there, David Villa should be able to find plenty of space in the box, and I would probably expect him to score a goal.
You make it seem like that Hines is better than Redding right now, and in my opinion, that's not the truth. So, you want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to do this, but I think people are a little bit way too high on Redding right now. I thought he was at fault for the first goal. I thought in the second game, that goal that David Accam just roasted both of them on, he said himself that both players were at fault on that play. I think Redding almost got beat by David Accam on a header of all things. It's one thing if David Accam runs by you, but if he's winning headers over you in the box because you lose your man. But because it didn't result in a goal, people don't tend to remember those type of things. But I do, because that's what I'm judging Tommy Redding on. Heath says he's in there to distribute the ball. He's good with the ball at his feet. I particularly don't care about that because his job is to defend, and he hasn't done any of that distribution or that playing out of the back much yet. So, there's another guy on the team I would prefer to be in the lineup, and that's Aurelian Collin. But Redding, he hasn't played bad by any means, but I don't know that we can say he's played exceptionally well either. But neither has Seb Hines. But that's exactly why NYCFC will have plenty of chances, but I think NYCFC is going to have plenty of chances against most teams. I think that offense is going to be dynamic this year.
And Andres, I want to know, where's Poku?
It's a lot of politics going on right now. I believe he will start. We have a lot of players that are going to be starting quality for their national teams. We have a packed midfield, and that's even without Frank Lampard joining us. So we won't see Frank Lampard come Friday. we don't know when we'll see Frank Lampard. Granted, I personally don't care when we see Frank Lampard. I think we should get rid of him. But Kwadwo Poku has been a political figure. He had a great season last year, and we're like, why is he not starting? What's even more surprising, he's not even on the bench for the past 2 games. A lot of people say it's his fitness. Coaches don't really answer the question. It's just like, he'll start when he's ready. Right now, there's no Poku and there's no Poku party, and we're a little sad about that. But starting the season with wins and tie, helps a lot when some players aren't here. So yeah.
I mean, I think that whole political thing, I think that's something that's happening with Adrian Heath and Aurelian Collin. I mean, Sam, when you think back to last year, Aurelian Collin was our best defender. He's also our most expensive defender. And then to go into this year and be 4th in line all of a sudden, something clearly is happening behind the scenes that we are not privy to, and we're probably never going to find out. But it's just something we have to accept at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to tie up your point, he was by far our best defender. Like it isn't even up for debate in my mind. Right. From and even from like on the outset at the beginning of the year when we were defending really well, he was our best defender then. And then our defense just did whatever, and at the end it kind of picked back up again. And at the end, he was still our best defender. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you any more about him being our best defender. So, and so Andres, you said something a little earlier that I want to also tie up a loose end on. Sure. You said you think it'll be a lower scoring game, and last year the first game was a 1-1 draw, and both teams were like really disjointed. The teams really were brand new. No one really had any time to play together and learn each other on the field. But the second game was like a 5-3 shootout. So what, like, where does that statement come from?
Well, the statement comes from that our team is still new. We got a bunch of new players. Bravo. Pirlo's finally joining us since the beginning of the start of the season, which is great. But Tony Taylor's back. We missed him all last season. We've got – I go look at my roster now. We've got Tony Taylor, our defense, Matarita. I mean, 5 or 6 players that we had last year when we played that 5-3 are no longer part of our team. So we're still finding out. But offensively, we've got what it takes. Though we don't put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, we won 4-3 against the Fire. I don't think it's going to be that type of score. I think it's going to be a closer game than most people think.
Okay, and Ron, you said that you think it's going to be at a frenetic pace. So that kind of like counters the point that Andre is making, because if it's at a frenetic pace, you would assume that there would be lots of goals.
Yeah, but then I guess if you watch these two teams a lot, they're also wasteful of a lot of chances. So the game can be played at a frenetic pace. It maybe should seem like it should be 2-2 or 3-3 or 4-4, but it could only end up 1-0 or 1-1. But like I said, I think that would be only if our attackers are wasteful on either end. I mean, I think there will be opportunities for both sides. I think NYCFC has a lot of talent in attack. I think Orlando City has a lot of talent and energy in attack. So, like I said, the opportunities will present themselves, and like most matches, whoever takes their chances will probably win.
All right. Well, trying to keep these a little briefer than last year, I don't really have anything else. We heard from Andres about the starting 11. We heard it from Ron. Is there anything else you guys had?
I do want to add that I'm starting Lauren on my fantasy league.
Are you captaining Lauren in your fantasy league?
I have captain Lauren, yeah.
Okay.
I said Kyle Laren's going to win the Golden Boot. I was a little bit half joking, but I do think he will be in the top 5 in goal scoring this year. So I'm sure he will be a productive fantasy member for a lot of teams this year. Yeah, I have a quick question for Andres. Besides NYCFC having some amazing last names, I really like reading Brillant and Matarita and Pirlo and Bravo and Villa. Anyways, Steven Mendoza, is he? Can you describe what type of players, what his best position is, and is he a definite penciled in starter going forward once he's fit and gelled with the team?
I hope he is. We need help up front. We need speed up front. Shelton is great. He's got that pace to outbeat many defenders. That's how he scored his first goal in the first game against the Fire. He outbeat a defender and he outbeat the goalie to reach the ball. But he doesn't do that every game, and he's not powerful. I truly believe that Steven Mendoza, who came on loan from Corinthians, he has the speed. If you see a clip, he only played 23 minutes. He had a shot on goal. He would outrun and outpace any defender for the ball, and we need that player up front. Tony Taylor doesn't have that speed. Villa, as you know, doesn't have the speed. He has the finesse. So we need a player like him to help support Villa, because when you have a physical, strong, fast player, the defense is going to have to counter that. And, oh, by the way, we've got Villa as well. So it kind of widens the game more for Villa. I do see him starting. I hope he starts this game. He's got a lot of speed. One of my good sources from Brazil said the only reason why he left the Brazilian league is because he just doesn't have the quality for the Brazilian style of play. But as you know in the MLS, if you've got speed, that's one huge counter to all defenses. And he can be on the right wing or right forward, and he's a smaller stature, so he's not going to go up for headers like Lauren could, but he's got that stature to out hustle, out dribble, and definitely put a lot of pressure on any defense.
All right, and I actually have another question now that I think about it. You guys made a trade today for an international spot for some target allocation money. So what's up with that?
Do you mean the Andrew Jacobson?
No, I think today I saw that you guys got an international roster spot from Sporting Kansas City, I think.
Sam's breaking news on the preview show to Andre.
This is breaking news to me. I do know that we let go of Andrew Jacobson because he wants to be closer to his family for some money. But I'm reading it right now. Yeah, NYCFC acquires international spot from KC.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Holy crap.
Yeah, Sporting Kansas City have traded an international roster spot to NYC for target allocation. So you don't know?
No, I'm going to check my Twitter feed, and if I know something, I'll make sure I tag you guys. But I literally just found this out right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what happens when you're at work and I'm sitting at home unemployed. So that's that. All right. Well, we will then, if I don't have anything else, Andres, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I mean, other than Kyle Lauren, who's the one player, in my opinion, it might be Nocerino, that we need to be careful up front in your attacking half?
Ron, you can go first.
I think this game lends itself to Adrian Venter a lot because of the slightly smaller pitch. I think the frenetic pace I talked about earlier. I think it lends itself to players that work really hard, kind of like Andres was talking about Steven Mendoza. Adrian Venter is not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most gifted technically in the world, but he works his ass off. He goes 110% every match, and I think if you have that persistent pressure and what he's there, that he's going to pounce on any mistake by that back line. So I think Adrian Venter, as long as he starts, I think he plays a pivotal role in this match.
And what position does he play?
Oh, he's usually on the right wing, right mid area.
And I was going to say Winter as well, but I'll I think that Molino maybe is due. He's not playing the best. He's just trying to be really cute with his dribbles and his little passes, and he had a clear opportunity last game where he should have taken a shot and he didn't. But he has goals in him. I've seen him score 100 goals in USL, and I know that we're not in USL anymore, and I know that sometimes a lot of the fans really, love the USL guys, and I'm totally biased, and I'm totally one of those people. Yeah. But I think it's going to be time. We're counting on him. He got injured early last year in a friendly. He played 60 minutes in the opener. He played 90 minutes last week. He looked fit at least. He wasn't shooting the ball when he should have been, and I mean there was limited opportunities for that. But I would have said Winter, so just maybe as someone else to keep your eye on. I think Kevin Molino. I think he could make you pay if you leave him open.
Cool. Yeah, yep. That's good to know.
All right, and so that's all I really have. We'll go to score predictions, and then that'll be a wrap. Andres?
Yeah, my score prediction, as I said, will be a low-scoring game, but it'll be a 2-1 in favor of New York City FC.
All right, Ron?
This is tough. Earlier tonight on my website's podcast, I predicted 3-3 only because my partner predicted 2-2. But I think it's going to be I see a 2-2 game, and I think that if you had to bet smart money, I think NYCFC is more likely to take 3 points than Orlando City. But I think Orlando City can get a draw as long as the defense doesn't collapse like it it has at moments during the past 2 games. But yeah, this game's up in the air. You know, it could go either way, which is kind of like the rest of MLS every single week.
I usually try to walk down the line in the middle, and I'm always go for the draws. But I have a really funny feeling this week, and there's something about the lights of New York City where Kyle Larin has hat tricks. So I'm going to stick with the Kyle Larin hat trick. He did it to Red Bulls. He did it to you guys. And I think that we'll win on Kyle Larin's back 3-2. So that's...
If that's the case, I'll be happy for my fantasy team.
Well, that's I guess one of the only downsides of fantasy. But
yeah, right.
So you can say thanks and then I'll conclude and we'll be done. Andres?
Pardon me, I lost connection. What was that?
Oh, I just said we're signing off, so just one last thanks, and you can tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, cool. Well, thanks again for having me on. Anytime you ask me to come on, I'll be happy to. I know we play you guys later on in the month, or I think in 2 months. I'm going to that game, so I definitely want to meet you. But if you want to follow the NYCFC Podcast, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope. Not on YouTube, but you do a great job on YouTube. But thanks again for letting me come on.
Absolutely. Ron?
Thanks, guys. I'll be here every week. You know where to find me at City Soccer Talk. And thanks, Andres. You're a great guest every time.
Thanks a lot, man.
Well, that's all for our time, and we thank you for your time. We'll see you next week. Peace out.